guys, yes, I'm Kristina from Leafy Leicester, and today I want to show you all of my propagations. Doesn't matter if it's seedlings, cuttings, already potted plants you might have seen in previous videos of mine. I'm going to take you around the house and I'm going to show you each and every single one of my propagations. You already know I keep a lot of houseplants, but how many propagations can one person have in their home? Let's start right here in this living room. In this corner right here, I have my recently acquired new plant shelf, which I love. And in here, I have sorted out a few plants that I want to sell soon, but I can still show you around. First off, we have this Calathea varshevicii. You can propagate this one simply by dividing the mother plant, or you can take cuttings whenever you have this node in between, and you can just cut below, stick it in water to root, and it is also producing a lot of offshoots down in the pot. Next, I have a Syngonium aurea in here. These are extremely easy to propagate as well. All of the leaves are nicely variegated. It starts off as a light green and then fades into a creamy yellow. Those type of plants I usually root in water and then transfer them to soil eventually. Next up, I have this Anthurium pallidiflorum. This is one of my absolute favorite plants at the moment. I have the mother plant back there, but this Anthurium is easy to propagate as well. I just took stem cuttings, I think. I popped them into perlite. They were really quick to root, and eventually I potted them back into the soil. They are just so cute. Long leaves, velvety, shiny, glittery in the sun. It's best plant. I want to show you my Philodendron micans cuttings. These are already potted up. You might have seen those in one of my recent repot videos. I typically root those in water. They are quick to root, and then whenever they have like a little bit of root already, I pot them up into soil. I mean, who doesn't love a good velvet leaf? Also up here, I have one of my Philodendron splendid cuttings. These root really well in just water. You can also try with perlite moss or anything else. I feel like these are really simple no matter what method you use. Next up, we have... Whoa! Oh no! Literally every time I film, I throw over a pot or something and then there's soil everywhere. I'll clean this later. We have this Philodendron White Princess here. This is one of the White Princesses that I sorted out to sell in my purge video. I still held on to it. I don't know. I'm weak, I know. Also in here I have two of the White Princess cuttings that you've seen me pot up in one of my recent videos as well. They are ready to be sold. We have some of the Monstera standleyana that I repotted recently. These look amazing. We have really nice variegation on here. Just look at those leaves. Gorgeous. Now, moving on. Welcome to my windowsill area. I'm sorry, but it's way too hot. Gotta love heat waves, right? Now then. Right here on my windowsill, I have my Monstera variegata propagations. We are already seeing a lot of interesting results. I would always recommend to root your cuttings first and then chop them, because look, we are already seeing new growth on here. We have the first leaves unfurling already. We have really nice variegation on here. On this other cutting right here, you can already see the growth points starting to emerge. Really beautiful one on here. These are an absolute success. Here we have a few little activated growth points. I'm really pleased with this. And then the last one of the rooted cuttings also is giving us a new leaf. I also did a few experiments with leca. As you can see, there is a lot of roots going on there already, but they are nowhere near the rooted cuttings. Moving to the water propagations we also did. So you can kind of see that there is a lot of roots in there. Just look at this. Hell yeah. This looks amazing. So rooting in water always works the best, I find, for Monstera especially. I can see the growth points have a little bump already, but no real offshoot is growing yet. In my little plant corner, there aren't really any more propagations in there. We just have the Ethereum and the Epipremnum CB Blue that I potted up recently. On my little card I have the 2 last Monstera from this propagation. I have my little no drainage plant right here. You can already see some roots growing in here, which is really cool. I'm watering really carefully, but it stays moist longer, which is nice, so I don't have to water as often. And it already pushed out this gorgeous new leaf up here. I think it's doing great so far. Back here I have the top cutting that I took, so my Monstera that I want to preserve and keep growing. The new leaf grew really wide, and I'm really hoping the next one will be a little bit more green again. All white is not what we want. Other than that, she's doing great. Now let's jump forward to my little greenhouse. Down here I have 2 greenhouses actually. Well, one is just a huge plastic box, but it works the same. And then the other one is my DIY greenhouse that I built in this video right here. These are especially great for propagations that need a lot of humidity, because these can provide that. Let's open her up. In here, it's really just 2 plants that are the bane of my existence, which is Philodendron melanochrysum and Philodendron brandtianum. These are both so hard to take care of. They just need a lot of humidity, otherwise their leaves will be ugly as hell. Well, that's why I decided to propagate again, to make it look nice again, even though that only furthers my problem that I have more of a plant that I don't like in the end. It's just so hard. Anyways. Sorry for the rant. Since I recently discovered how cool leca is and how well it works, I am trying out lots of different propagations at the moment. This is from a hydroponic systems I had. Some water in here. The leca can then distribute the water throughout the pot. It's just a self-watering system. Some leca in here, about like 5 cuttings. You see it still has like some of the ugly leaves. The rest of the plant is looking fine, I guess. So, number 1. And then in here, it's basically the same. My hope with leca is that maybe it will provide constant water to the plant, and maybe it will unfurl the leaves a little nicer because of that. It's just my hope. So this is Philodendron melanochrysum. Sometimes the leaves just die, you know? I don't know what to do with these plants. I also have a little Begonia amphioxus propagation in here. There is one little peperomia watermelon in here. And then my only nice melanochrysum that I managed to grow so far. But you see, we are running into issues up here. Turning our attention to this side of the room. So here's the wall. But right here we have one more propagation. Here I have just a few Syngonium albovariegata cuttings, the white version. These are just living in water. Usually they're pretty quick to root, and I pot them up as soon as they have a few roots. So these I could probably already pot up. We already have a few new leaves on here as well. This is my huge ass prop box, so let's check out what is inside, because we have some gems in there. Let's start with those 2. These are super overgrown. I have my Philodendron brandtianum propagations, and these look gorgeous. All of the leaves are completely healthy. The plants are growing like crazy. We have a ton of aerial roots in here. These are just plants that are, I don't know, doomed to live in a prop box or greenhouse forever, I guess. But they look cute. They look really cute. Next I have two beautiful Hoya Mathilde splash propagations in here. These are also just sitting in... oh, bye! These are also just sitting in leca in those pots. I just feel like leca is way more suitable for propagations that you just want to keep like in a shelf or just outside in normal conditions, not in a greenhouse. This one I propagated quite recently and it was just a piece of stem, and this is it now. Just look at those perfect leaves. This one is really fresh, it's beautiful, it just unfurled. It has a little bit of variegation up here, which is just random, but still pretty cool. And then it also has another growth point down here. So we have two growth points on this one stem. This is making me fall back in love with this plant. Next we have this Begonia mainensis. This is the mother plant of the Equagenera order that I did, and it perked up really nicely. It regrew a lot of leaves already. It's looking healthy again, so I'm really happy that I didn't throw this one out. Lastly, I have put a few of my Hoya serpens propagations in there. These are pretty fresh, so there's not a lot to see, but they are just chilling. Moving to the most dreadful part of this video, which is my grow shelf, or better said, my propagation shelf. And you know what, this implies that there's a lot of propagations in there. I haven't staged it at all. I'll show you as a whole, and then after that I will pick up all of the propagations and show you each one of them. This will be quite the chore, but I'm up for it. I'm up for it, and we will go for it now. So let's go. This is a lot, and that's only the bottom shelf. I'll try to keep it short. Most of these plants are not for me personally. They are intentionally propagated to be sold later on. Starting with a little box of wet sticks. This is Scindapsus pictus exotica, I believe. We already have a few growth points poking out, but this took really long. We also have a few Scindapsus pictus argyraeus in here this time, and like 3 philodendron white princesses. These were wet sticks, but they have grown quite well by now. This one is especially cute. Almost all white, so I don't know if it will do well. Anthurium verruquianum propagation, it's the one with 2 growth points on here. It's still in soil. I think a new leaf is coming. Basically only one of the growth points keeps growing. Eventually I might chop it even more so that both growth points can keep growing. Our Monstera stanleyana cuttings, these were single node cuttings, and I propagated them in leca. We have great roots already down here and some new leaves emerging as well. Another Anthurium pallidiflorum. This time you can see the stem piece from the stem cutting I took. It's still in there. Next I have the mother plant of my philodendron white princess. The next leaf looks very promising. Multiple little Alocasia frydek, all grown from the bulbs. And then I also have 2 more little Alocasia frydeks. These were bulbs from the variegated one I have, but so far I don't see any variegation on them. So it's not always 100% sure if the bulb will continue the variegation of the mother plant. Another philodendron white princess cutting in here. Philodendron El Chocoret. This one was a cutting I rooted in water. 2 growth points in 1 pot. Next I have a Anthurium silver blush seedling, really cute, and a Philodendron splendid cutting. So this is the old leaf, and then in here there is a new growth point. Some Hoya Mathilde splash cuttings, Pilea splash pups in here, a few Epipremnum Cebu blue cuttings that were potted up, a few Scindapsus silvery N cuttings, and some Scindapsus Pictus exotica cutting as well. Last but not least, I have this huge tray here. We have mainly a few Hoya Bella cuttings. These are all in water. These aren't rooting for long, but we can already see a few little roots emerging from the stem. Next, I have a water propagation full of Scindapsus Pictus argyraeus and a glass of water propagations with some Monstera stanleyana cuttings still. A little pot of Hoya Mathilde again, another Philodendron splendid cutting that I potted with a new growth point on here, a top cutting of my Pilea peperomioides mojito. It has like a splashy green variegation. A truly sad specimen of Philodendron melanochrysum. You see no leaves at all and then like this one janky leaf. That is the story of my life with melanochrysum. That sums it up really well. A few string of hearts, variegated. These are the ones with white margins. I started them out with moss, then just propped the moss on top of some soil. Last but not least, we have another Philodendron splendid cutting. Moving on to my second prop box, which is a little bit smaller, but it houses some very cute propagations. We have another really sad El Chocoret cutting, 3 more pots of the Hoya serpens cuttings, and the last thing that is in here, I can tease it to you, the Anthurium magnificum seedlings that I planted, and this is how they look now. Starting with this one, these are the seedlings that I started in soil. We have one that grew really nice. It is the smallest of them all. We have 2 more seeds in here. They just like grow super slow. They never really gain size. I suspect it has to do something with this soil. Maybe it's too nutritious or I don't know. I think this pot were the seedlings that I started in sphagnum moss. We have 2 little seedlings. They are still pretty small, but they all grow a 3rd leaf right now. And 1 seedling that also never really grew beyond that. The plants that grew the best, so these plants all have 3 leaves and the 4th one is on the way. You can see here. The leaf size is pretty big in comparison to the other ones, so these were definitely the most successful. And then we have the poor little soil germinated one. I think it's really interesting to see how they perform. Oh, and don't look at how disgusting this prop box is. I might have to clean it now that it's empty. Next up, let's look at the top shelf. Oh my gosh, would you look at that? Here is another one of the Anthurium barraquianum cuttings. We've got a new baby leaf on here. How cute is that? Starting off with a view you might be familiar with, here is the water propagation of the Begonia mainensis. It's already growing new shoots in light green and the roots are pretty out there. Philodendron verrucosum propagations, rooting in water as well, and you can already see there is new leaves coming in. I have another water propagation here with some string of hearts variegated. Then I have some green string of hearts, a orchid rescue in some sphagnum moss. It's not doing the best. And here is the Hoya serpens that I potted up recently. It's still holding on, looking good. Then there's another tray that desperately needs watering. We have another Hoya serpens. I tried to root this one directly in soil, and well, you see it didn't go great. I think one of the cuttings took, the other one, is pretty dead. I would not recommend this method. Philodendron verrucosum, and I think this one has spider mites or something. The leaf does not look good. I'll have to treat all of them then. Another Philodendron splendid, Pothos enjoy, some Maranta fascinator, and some classic spider plants, of course. I also got this tray with more Pilea peperomioides splash, little white variegation on here. Another Alocasia corm. This one is in soil. I'm trying it out with high humidity in this takeaway container. And then also a few Monstera adansonii cuttings. These are super thirsty. I really need to water these plants ASAP. Last tray for this shelf. So we have another Scindapsus pictus exotica. This one has mad roots already. A Raphidophora foraminifera. This one was a little cutting. This one was a piece that I got from a coworker, and it has grown so much. I'll put the name on the screen because I don't remember right now. Another Monstera adansonii. And then we have one really fun glass jar left. We have one Philodendron mame, growing a new shoot and also some pretty nice roots. Some more Melanochrysum cuttings in here. And now this one is going crazy. This is my Pilea peperomioides sugar. And guys, look at those roots. These are going absolutely crazy. This is probably my least favorite Pilea because the variegation is just like really tiny speckling. I didn't like the long stem without leaves on it, and I wanted to restart the plant, and then eventually if there's enough roots you can just pot it back in soil, and this works like a charm. Oh, and last but definitely not least, I have the last El Chocoret propagation. And here is the stem piece that I just put into perlite. And we are finally seeing some new growth on here. Look at this little green nub. That's the first little leaf we got. I'm exhausted and I'm not even done yet, so this is so many propagations. It's kind of overwhelming when you see it like that. So not only do I care for all of my proper houseplants, but all of these babies need care too. It's kind of a lot, but I mean, if you run a plant shop, like a small business plant shop, I mean, you need products to sell, right? Well, these are also all my propagations. Most of them you have seen in previous videos. We have a ton of Monstera stanleyana cuttings. We have a ton of Scindapsus pictus argyraeus cuttings. Some more Maranta, some more Philodendron micans. The 100 plus neon pothos cuttings. I have some Maranta Leuconeura kerchoviana cuttings as well. Some Raphidophora tetrasperma. Another Epipremnum enjoy as well. I also have a Alocasia zebrina here. This one I divided from the mother plant and just made a second plant out of it. I think that's it. I think that's all of my propagations. Is it though? Is it? Probably not. Probably there's more somewhere. Maybe I can also count those Hoyas back in. These were propagations that I potted up. So we have the Hoya macrophylla variegata that is now called differently. I don't remember. And I also have the Hoya croniana super silver right here. Hello. This one is growing in super nicely. She's getting a ton of new growth right here, for example. It's just very pretty. I'm completely exhausted and, to be honest, overwhelmed. At the moment, I'm okay with the amount of propagations I have and I feel like I can care for them all. But since I noticed spider mites today, this might change soon. I'm pretty worried that they are like everywhere. I'm just glad it's not thrips, to be honest. I'm going to stop rambling now and start on treating my plants for spider mites. Yay! I will leave you with this video right here because YouTube thinks it's best for you. I'll see you next time. Until then, enjoy your plants and goodbye!